You'll know when you have a wild woman. She'll practice her craft without boundaries. She is truly autonomous.
Her loyalty is only to the family she serves, a midwife who will not allow herself to be held back by a system she didn't create.
This podcast is for the birth keepers who want to grow and change. We are open to learning through self-reflection and supportive community. We are creating this space to explore without judgment. We are remembering we were
born wild.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Born Wild Midwifery podcast. I'm your host, Lea.
And Sophia. And I am handing Lea chocolate because she hates recording the podcast. We're just so busy. There's so many things we need to be doing. It feels silly to sit down and do this sometimes.
Yeah, I shouldn't say I hate it. It gives me
it.
mild anxiety, even though it's just a recording.
Yeah. And for me, I feel like I have such a long task list. I just want to do my tasks, but we do love the podcast.
We do love it.
Yeah. So chocolate offering, chocolate offering. What's up?
What's happening?
What's up? How was your January?
January was peaceful for the most part. It was actually really nice. December was jam-packed. We had some amazing births, and lots of learning and growing and all of that stuff. And so January, I only had one private client. And the birth was fantastic. And we'll talk about that a little bit today. But yeah, it was just nice to kind of catch up and did some serious self-care that was necessary, just replenishing. And
you went off grid a few times where I was like, is Lea mad at me? Are we still in practice together?
I was like work-life balance. I was like,
it was good.
It's a Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm not doing appointments. I'm not on call. I'm not going to stare at my phone, which is very hard to do as a midwife.
It's great.
It takes practice.
Well, you did a really good job because Monday we were like, I don't know if she's coming. And you did. You showed up. We were like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It was just, I think as you evolve as a midwife and also a mother at the same time, and I would say friend, but I have no friends except people that no, it's not kidding. I have friends, but most of them are birth workers. But yeah, just the layers of, I know we talk about self-care so much, but just the layers of it and how important it just continues to be and I think after December, I really did reach a level of burnout that I haven't felt. And it was not, it was physical, but it was really also just more like holding so much space. And I think with the holidays and, family stuff, it just piles up. But I definitely felt a burnout I haven't actually felt for a while. So I've made a lot of changes to my health as a result. So I'm grateful. But yeah, anyway, January just really felt like a catch up, reground.
And both you and Carissa came into the office today saying I can't wait for the next birth.
Totally.
So it's a good reminder, sometimes it doesn't take that much, to get right back on track.
Yeah.
What
about you? How was your January?
I took notes because my brain doesn't hold things like this. Speaking of brain fog, I have started iron infusions. I've spent a decade trying to shift my iron levels unsuccessfully. So I have caved in and I'm doing iron infusions. So I had my first one last week and I'm having one again today. I'm doing 8 because there's a shortage, I guess, on the typical iron infusion. So it's reserved for pregnant women. And so I am doing the second best option, I guess. So I'm looking forward. I heard that people say it takes about 5 before you can really feel effect, but I'm hoping I feel it in the brain fog category. That feels
it's the better. 5 at the dose you're doing.
Yeah. That they said once they got through their 5th one, they really started to notice a difference. Because I haven't noticed anything except low blood pressure, where I'm in workouts. I'm I'm really dizzy, and I took my blood pressure Friday when I was just home with my husband, it was 80/50.
Oh, wow.
And it's not normally low like that. So I'm like, oh, no wonder I was really dizzy at the workout today. So just trying to hydrate, eating really well. Last month, my son did a sleep study and a cardiology appointment. I still have never done like a whole podcast on him, but he has a Bacterial Association. You can Google it. And part of that is a heart condition. And we were told when he was born that he would need 3 heart surgeries at least. They did one at 6 months. And we were told last month that he'll probably never need another heart surgery. So that
Great.
has been awesome to hear. And then his sleep study came back with like mild sleep apnea, but I don't think there's anything to do. I guess when he sleeps on his right side, he doesn't do so hot.
Interesting.
Compared to all the other sides. So
Is that the side where he's missing a lobe?
Yes, it is. And I wonder if it's like because his trachea is all floppy, like if he like compresses it somehow and he just doesn't have a lot of capacity on that side. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. He is switching from hockey. He's finishing up hockey and switching to rock climbing. I think he's going to be incredible at rock climbing because he's a peanut and super strong and he loves like problem solving. So he just had his first class yesterday and he's like Spider-Man up the wall. And like he was getting so high. He got all the way to the top, rang the bell on all of them. My husband was like going to have a heart attack. He was like, oh, I know he's strapped in, but it's like my heart is going crazy. And then our daughter is switching from aerial silks to vocals, and she just had her first band practice at School of Rock.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that movie with Jack Black?
Of course I've seen that movie. Yes.
So it's such a good movie. We saw the movie and then all of a sudden I was getting ads for School of Rock. That's how we found it.
It's a clever name that whoever started
it was really smart to pick that. So yeah, she has band practice and then she has on Wednesday, she'll have like vocal practice. But they handed her the lyrics and we're like, yeah, just follow along. And she looked at me like, I don't know how to read. She's like learning. She's still learning. So she was like, So I was like, well, this will be good motivation for you to pick up learning faster.
Totally.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. My husband and I went on a date day. We went zip lining. And I am obsessed with making sourdough.
Oh, wow. The dark side.
The dark side.
Come up
and I have 23% Neanderthal in me.
Wow. Your check-in is like a PowerPoint presentation. Mine's like, I was burned out.
But that's how I do it. I just like have to take notes or I won't remember.
I mean, now I'm trying to think what else.
You're like, I'm sure something else happened.
I mean, this wasn't technically January, but my younger daughter, who's 14, went to winter formal dance with her very adorable boyfriends. So I got to, and she like made her own dress.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got up at 7 a.m. It was Saturday. And I came out and she already had her hair in curlers and was like prepping already. And I was like, only 12 more hours to get ready, you know, but I remember those days.
Did she take the whole 12 hours?
Basically. Yeah. And then, I went to see a Haley Hendrix concert, which was really fun on Saturday. I don't leave my house after 9 p.m. really ever. Unless I'm going to a birth. So it was fun to go out and
plug the group practice because Leah was able to message me and say, I know I'm supposed to be on call, but can I take it off? And I said, no problem, girlfriend.
Yeah. Have fun.
Yeah.
And you said enjoy, I think, actually.
Enjoy.
Exclamation point. So
yeah. And did you enjoy?
I did. It was quite lovely. She played with, there was like a horn section that's like a separate group called the Westerners. And so they did a couple songs, just the horn section, like without her singing. And I love live music. When I think about, again, leaving my home when the sun goes down, unless it's going to a birth, I'm like, is it worth it though? But whenever I get to the venue and I'm at the show, I'm always glad that I'm there. There is something about live music that's really amazing.
Yeah.
So
kind of like the podcast. Once we get going, you're fine.
I'm the introvert of the practice, obviously.
And then it turns out that our new student was there too. So we'll eventually do a podcast introducing Sarah, our new student. We had just taken on a new student, Autumn, but everything was going really great. And her daughter is really young still. And she just got clear that this was just too soon of a move for her age. And she was like, I definitely want to be a midwife, but I need to wait until she's a little bit older.
Yeah,
So.
it's hard to have a nursing or even toddler and go to births.
Yeah. And I think she recognized that she wasn't even going to all the things yet. She was still like warming up and integrating into things. And she was like, whoa, we're not even like, I'm not even doing all the things that they're doing. Like it's going to be even busier. So we were sad to see her go, but excited to get to know Sarah a little bit better. So today's her first day at the office. We're doing an office day. And yeah.
And apparently she saw me in the bathroom at a show.
Yes.
Didn't say hi, but
she was like, I wasn't sure if it was you. And
I looked different out in the wild.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exciting. We just did an IV training with Carly, who we've done trainings with before, and she's amazing. Everybody there always nails the IV every time. And this time we even had a doula who wants to be a CNM, but has never even like done a blood draw or anything. She's not enrolled in school, and she nailed the IV first time. She's Carly's such an amazing instructor. And she taught me how to do an IV on myself. I was like, she had mentioned something about giving herself IVs. I was like, wait, hold on. What? New skill unlocked? Please tell me more. I was like, how do you even do a tourniquet on yourself?
Yeah.
So she taught me that and I nailed it and it was great.
Wow.
I know. So awesome. So I love her. I'm going to have her come back for more. Because like midwifery fashion, there were a lot of midwives at the last minute who couldn't come, but it was the perfect amount of people. We took over the office. I don't know if we said that. I think we said we were going to. Yes. But we officially did.
Yes, we decided to move out of the San Rafael office because we were doing mostly home visits in San Rafael, and we had the opportunity to take over the whole building in the space in Petaluma. So now we have the whole building.
Yeah, so it's 4 rooms and it's just us.
It's amazing.
And we're so happy.
Yeah.
So that was nice to be able to kind of like spread out.
Yeah, and it's more privacy to not have to like share a waiting room and all of that stuff. So it feels really good.
Yeah. We're excited about that.
I have my separate space for IUIs. We've definitely been doing more of those, which I just dabbling in that part of everything. The fertility has become more something that I'm doing, and I think it's really interesting.
It's like your specialty now, I feel.
Yeah. I feel like I'm learning so much and just really enjoying like helping families to get their start, and not just once people are pregnant.
Maybe we can do a little podcast on that sometime. Maybe not today, but just like what your tips are for anyone out there who is trying. Because obviously we do where people can join the practice like as an IUI client, and like we do consults and all the things.
Help with tracking and all that stuff.
For people who just have like some questions about fertility, maybe we can dive into that. We will. I will make a note. I will make a note to do that on our next podcast one. Yeah, I'm gonna make the note right now. Okay,
she's doing it. She's making the note.
It's done. But today we wanted to chat a little bit about like dystocia potentially. Like what?
Well, we were thinking, with these monthly check-ins with both of us, just going over the births from the month and things that came up and maybe having that turn into a topic. And January was pretty mellow. We weren't super full. So, but I had a birth that I thought would be a good segue to the whole dystocia topic, which I feel like I'm sure we've talked about at some point, but just how many times I've worked with families and the story that they have. And I always preface it with like, I wasn't there. And sometimes I can look at the chart and literally read what happened, but sometimes not. But just, the story of I had a shoulder dystocia with my last baby in the hospital. It was a really big deal. Scary. They told me, either like, thank goodness you were in the hospital and you definitely always have hospital births, or you should just have a cesarean next time because, all of that. And just how many times when I hear what they tell me of the story is like, had an epidural, didn't have free range of movement, and what they consider a dystocia, how they chart that in the hospital versus like an actual dystocia, and how it affects people and their story around what happened and their future birth choices. And I feel like it can kind of go a couple ways, where it's either I know that wasn't right. Like, this is the story they told me, and I feel like I wanted to move. I wanted to do this. Like, I feel like she would have just come. And so that's why I'm choosing something different. Or they accept that story and then like have a cesarean the next time. So when I've worked with families, obviously, that go the first way, hear what they have to say, talk about how it's done differently at home, prep for whatever possibility could come. And then it's just not an issue, and just how like important that story is that we tell families and that families hear.
Yeah. I had a very similar thing where the midwife had told her at the hospital, like, that was the top 5 scariest births of my whole career, and had basically signed her up for her C-section. And she was like, felt like, let's try it at home.
Yeah.
It was like, just had already like decided on that. But, she kept going back and forth because she was hearing all this from the hospital, but she felt like she could do it, and it was situational, and she wasn't even she didn't even have an epidural, but she was like on her back. They didn't even move her once, and so that's one of the questions. It's like, what constitutes as a dystocia? Is it the amount of time? Is it needing to change position? Like what is it? But yeah, it was like a minute and a half, because sometimes I feel like the head comes out, and if the body doesn't come next, dystocia.
That's a dystocia then.
Yeah. So or like the head comes, and if the body doesn't come with traction, even without waiting for the next contraction, dystocia. So yeah, it was interesting. And her next 2 babies, it was not an issue.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
this mom, it was her 3rd baby, and her 2nd was that kind of story where it's so scary. And and she was just chunker baby. She was just under 10 pounds. And what was interesting getting to know the family is that of all the people that I kind of heard the story of the birth, the one who was least worried about the whole situation was the mom. Like, she said she looked at the other people in the room, like her mom and her husband, and she was like, everyone looked so freaked out.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel freaked out. And she said, so that was a big piece. And then also that she just wanted to move. Like, she's like, I just wanted to get up into a squat or move my legs. And I kept saying that to them. And they're like, no, you can't move. And she had an epidural. And yeah, so decided she wanted to explore home birth. A couple of her friends had home births, one of them with our practice. And when we started care, it was really like, I know I want you to support me at the hospital. I don't usually do that, but she's kind of a family friend. So I was like, okay. And then by the end of care, was fully committed to being at home. But yeah, and had a beautiful, very straightforward, baby not stuck at all birth. And I think
butter birth.
Yeah, I mean, and there was a moment like baby's head came, and then there was, I think, just one contraction between with the body, but head was out, and it was probably 4 minutes. And that was the moment where I could feel like that's when they would have called it a dystocia.
Yeah.
And what was great, actually, as a side note, the team that was going to be there did drills the night before, like just to be like, if there is a dystocia, like not from a place of fear, like we're expecting it, but this is on everyone's radar at the birth, and like, what's the sequence that we would do? What would people's roles be? And it felt so smooth. And then, of course, we didn't need anything, but
yeah. But that's why you do drills, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And now they're obviously, the family's really, really happy. And, but yeah, it's just, I have a friend who's a nurse midwife, and I remember her telling me that if they do any maneuvers associated with dystocia, not even because they think it's a dystocia, like if they're just doing something like super pubic pressure or change position,
Yeah.
If they change the mom's position,
They have to say why they did that instead of dystocia.
it's a dystocia.
Yeah.
So that gets charted, and then in that woman's story, she had a shoulder dystocia, whereas the provider just did one thing, and therefore they have to chart that.
Yeah. I know I have assisted other midwives too, where I questioned even their call for dystocia, you know, where I'm like, yeah, I feel like I've only had one true dystocia. And like, I get it. I get that fear piece there,
Totally.
you know, like that was the one time I remember it crossed my mind where I was like, I don't know if I can get this baby out. And then immediately was like, you have to, you know, and I did. But I remember being like, this is why they jumped the gun. You know, this is why they react sooner than maybe they needed to.
I'm pulling out the chocolate.
I paused so that you could hear the crinkling just in case. Make you busted. But yeah, I remember being like, you know, try not to like blame providers because like you said, you weren't there, you didn't feel what was going on. But my client who had that, you know, top 5 scariest births or whatever, she said the same thing where she was like, I had absolutely no fear in my body. I don't feel like it was needed. It was resolved so quickly. We had reviewed her records later and it was like, this baby was out in like less than a minute, you know, like, did they even wait for the next contraction kind of thing? Yeah. So, but it's like, as a provider, if you have a scary experience, it's like, how do you not carry that with you to the next births and then treat them all the same? And like you were saying, this affects her story that she's going to tell herself and potentially tell her children, you know, for the rest of their lives. And yeah, like to take it really seriously. Like if you are going to call something a dystocia, like that's going to hold a lot of weight for that woman, you know, and like be sure it really is. Yeah. And for me, it like when it really did happen, because I always question like, was that not, you know, when I was supporting other midwives, but then when I had one, it was like, you know, there's no mistaking this. Like the baby sucked back in and the head turned black. Like, you know, like it was like, oh yeah, for sure. Because we've had babies that like took like 5 minutes to be born, you know, like it was just such a slow birth of like the head and shoulders, but the color of the baby never changed, you know, we just kept having the mom change positions. And
I had a birth last year and it was the mom's first vaginal birth, not her first baby. And when the head came, the crowned for minutes. I mean, I don't know, like 5 minutes, literally. It just, the baby was crowning. And then when the head came, it was sort of hard to tell if it was just a big old chunky baby head or if there wasn't restitution, if they weren't turning. And so I just had her stand up because she was on the birth stool and I was going to have her stand up and get onto her hands and knees just to give a little more space for baby. And as soon as she stood up, you could see the head turn, baby came. But I could see where, like in the hospital, if I had done that, would have been a dystocia because I did one move to shift what was going on. But yeah, when you have I've had a couple dystocias and it's really clear. And it is scary, but I think you and I also go into that mode, probably birth workers in general, where like you said, you went from, I don't know if I can get this baby out to, well, I have to get this baby out. And it's a split second and you just go into autopilot.
Yeah. And my student joked with me after, because like as soon as the baby was out, I was like, call the chiropractor. Because baby was fine. Like they didn't need, you know, maybe they needed, I'm trying to remember now, so long ago, I think a few breaths, but baby was fine. But I was like that's a lot of manipulation, you know. This baby's hand was like, the back of his hand was on the back of his head, you know, it was like wrapped around his back. It was so, and I also learned, I couldn't repeat them here, maybe I'll do research and then I can, but there are like so many different types of dystocias. I think there was like a Gail Tully, is that how you say her name? From Spinning Babies. There was not a podcast, a like a social media post where she was talking about like different types of dystocias and how different maneuvers can work better than others. And I remember, I can't remember exactly the terminology she called it, but there was one for that move where it's not just the shoulder hung up, it's the way this baby's arm was twisted behind his back and towards his head, because I went to do the posterior arm sweep and I was like, what's happening here? What is the shape of this arm? You know? And that, there are different positions you could get the mom in based on what's going on with the baby to relieve whatever's stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where that moment with all potential complications, where you just pause for a second and just like visualize what you think is going on before you just jump knee jerk into the maneuvers and like what order they are. And that's where the drill was great. Like, what if this is what it looks like? Would it make sense to do the posterior arm sweep if it's like actually, you know, just things like that, that taking that beat to like picture what you think is going on inside and then, you know, get the visual to align with what you're feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were saying you've had a few. I feel like I've only had one. Was there anything that like stood out to you in those labors that feels like predictive, or like you can always do like in hindsight, you know, because we've had people push for a very long time and not have dystocias, but this mom, it was her second with like, maybe I'll just call it like a 10-year gap in between, but she pushed for about 6 hours, and you know, maybe 4 or so hours in, she asked for me to check her because she's like, I feel like I should be pushing, but just in case I can't, I'm not supposed to be. And she tried to check herself and she couldn't. And I was like, yeah, the baby's right there, you know. And then, it was a slow crown and everything. Just like the whole pushing stage was very, very slow process. Yeah. Would you remember that?
The two that I can think of are both had babies before, some mole tips, and they were both big babies. They were both close to 12 pounds. And I think the pushing was longer than you would probably expect from someone who's had babies before, but I'm not noting them as being like really out there.
And this baby wasn't even, off the top of my head, that I want to say like 8 pounds or something like that. Like nothing dramatic.
Right. And that's the thing with a true dystocia versus like a baby that's just slowly crowning or sticky, is that it doesn't, size can affect it, but that's not the main thing. You know, if a baby comes out really slow, it's because they're chunky. But if it's a dystocia, it could be a 7-pound baby. I think in hindsight, one of them, it was like a slower second stage than I would have thought. But it was just, you know, baby came so slow, and then the turtle sign where they just, their head kind of whips back was really clear. And then I think just like not pulling, but if you like run your fingers along the neck and feel where the collarbone is, and you go like this, and it's just like pubic bone. Yeah. Like, obviously it's still under, but it's just like that you hit this wall and you're like, okay, that's not going to just rotate and come out. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, but that's my understanding, is that it isn't really predictive, you know?
No, I mean, and that it could be, you know, when someone's pushing longer than I maybe would have thought, it's like, is the cord short? Right. Is it positional? You know, there's so many different things that it could be. So I don't assume it's a dystocia. And I really don't correlate size with dystocia. I know I said that a minute ago, but it's like, I really don't. I don't think that, like, the idea that they induce VBAC moms so they have smaller babies is ridiculous. You know, like that idea, like you're going to have a dystocia, because it really, I don't know. I don't feel like it's correlated.
Yeah. And that it's not this like genetic component where like
you had one and you're going to.
That's not a thing. I don't really think I have any more to say. I just felt like Forrest Gump for a minute, and that's all I have to say about that. I mean, and I think too, because we don't have tons of experience with it, you know, and I definitely could call at least like 10 other births a dystocia if I wanted to, you know, where we would call them like sticky babies, you know, or like babies that you need patience.
Well, this is a funny story, is one of the babies that did have a dystocia when he came, which, you know, I don't even know how long it took, but it was not super long. Their fourth baby, and she'd had 2 cesareans, 1 vaginal birth, and we were just working on the baby a little bit. He didn't need like a full resuscitation, but he was definitely like did some inflation breaths. I think I did 1 round of PPD. But his tone was pretty poor and all of that. And like, as I was finishing the first round of PPD and kind of reassessing, he was like opening his eyes and starting to come around a little bit. And then Dad was like, I have to pick up the kids from school. You're good, right? And me and my sis just looked at each other like, I have never felt so seen and like so trusted. Like, it was like, you guys got this. You're good, right? And I was like, yeah.
And so he left to go pick up the kids.
So he left right then. And it was great. You know, they were just that kind of family. It was very casual, but it was just like this trust of like, he opened his eyes, gotta pick up the kids. I'll be back.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Yeah, just how like, I mean, that wraps up how birth at home can be such a momentous, huge occasion and like also just another day.
Right.
You know, like how can it be both those at the same time? It really can.
Yeah. Well, I feel like next month we'll have more to share.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're back. We feel like
some babies coming.
It's been like really like 2 really busy months and then like a slow month. And I was like, oh, this is a nice flow.
Could even out a little bit more for me, but we learn after each storm, like how to make it better for everybody, for our families, and how to take care of ourselves and all that jazz.
Yeah. Yeah. The burnout. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks everybody for listening. You can find us at Born Wild Podcast on Instagram. For inquiries or feedback, you can email us at bornwildpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me, Emma Ray, on Instagram at Emma Ray, REA, Sophia at sophiabirth.com,
and me, Leah, at Bay Area Home Birth.
We would really appreciate it if you would rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps us reach more people. And as always, stay wild.